Next up, we have our first client speaking today, which will be Kraft Heinz. And Kraft Heinz has been a client with us for a couple of years already. And they've gone on a journey of demand planning and forecasting, where they have driven results into forecast accuracy improvement, leveraging the O9 platform and machine learning. So I'm really excited to announce Marcelo Iuki, who is the Kraft Heinz Customer Excellence and Demand Planning Lead, to share his story and his journey on working on the planning transformation and how he drove the forecast accuracy improvement, leveraging the O9 technology. So Marcelo, where are you? Ah, there you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, sharing a bit of what was our journey with O9. We've been going through a very big transformation in our supply chain, not only in demand planning, but across the board. And O9 has been our partner from the beginning. And today, hopefully, I will share a couple of insights that can be applicable to you in the industry as well. I think the best way to start is actually talking about results, right? I think it's great to talk about what were our plans, what we aim to do, but results speak louder than words, and we are very happy that we are being able to achieve all-time high despite the very volatile environment where we are operating, right? So starting with forecast accuracy, our key area where we are collaborating with O9 is demand planning, like it was already mentioned. And we measure this ultimately by forecast accuracy, not only by that, but I think this is the end KPI that we are measuring mostly. When we talk about monthly forecast accuracy, which helps us drive more efficiency in our factories, the stability to our supply planning interactions, we achieved more than 8% increase. Again, reminding ourselves that we started this implementation around 2022. We went live with the first operation in 2022. Extremely volatile environment, conflict, material shortage, many changes in plans, and a lot of volatility in pricing as well in the retail space. So we're very happy that this helped us streamline a lot of our operation, inventory, and losses as well across the board. Kraft Heinz has a very complex network, especially in North America, where is our largest operation. We have products across temperature control, dry, chilled, and frozen, which create more than 40 warehouses across US. So as you can imagine, even though we had many times the right inventory, they were sitting at the wrong location. So having a very good accuracy in the short term as well was fundamental to guarantee that we would be delivering outstanding service to our customers. In that space, in the weekly FA, when we're talking about item location week, we increased by almost 10% our accuracy, and we are getting now to close to 70% forecast accuracy on a week -4 leg, which has been helping us quite a lot on driving not only service, but also cost, right? And this, like we're aiming higher, we're getting close to top tier results, but we want to be top performing company in this space. And then all of that, of course, if we're getting more accuracy, naturally we're getting also a lot less bias. And this is especially important when we're talking about trusting the system and reducing the number of interactions that the users are actually changing the outcomes of the tool. Bias is directly linked to touching less our systems. As I said, so accuracy is important, but accuracy has to drive what is actually paying back all the investments that we're doing in technology. And we're happy that we reduced more than 25% of our excess inventory. We're getting close to 4%, especially in North America, which is good. But again, we want to go to zero excess, and that's why accuracy will be fundamental for us to get there. We reduced more than 10% of our supply chain losses. Here I'm talking about finished goods. We're talking about food. This is extremely important for Kraft Heinz, because when we're talking about sustainability, it doesn't matter, right? Like we can be doing an outstanding job, but if we're wasting food all of that is meaningless, and therefore we have a very big focus on reducing this to close to zero. And then service, of course, improved. Again, the beauty here is having the opposite trend of having a more challenging environment, and despite those challenges, we've been able to increase our operation efficiency. And all of that, it's mostly driven by people, right? I will talk a lot about how change management was important and how users were at the center of this transformation. But what we have to do is actually deliver something that is useful for them and to make their life more productive. So it's not only about being effective, it's about being efficient and actually adopting the tool as it was supposed to be adopted. And here, we increased more than 13%. We are not at the levels that Stefan mentioned about 85% autonomous. There's still quite a lot of challenges on making this completely autonomous, but we are seeing the change at a very accelerated speed, which is very good and encourages us that we are at the right journey. And then at the end as well, end users must be happy. And then we saw an continuous improvement on the NPS score. We increased last year 13 points, and we're getting in North America close to 60 score on NPS, which is a very good and encouraging result for us. So how did we do all of that, and how was this journey, right? Like we said, we started back in 2020, right in the middle of pandemics. Not sure if this was the right or the best moment to start a digital transformation operation, but actually it was, because it ended up helping us to support all the volatility and the changes that we were seeing in the market. We started with a proof of concept with a couple of suppliers. O9 was one of them. And O9 was chosen mostly because of the flexibility that we would have in terms of adapting the needs that we had. We have a very different landscape across the globe. So the fundamental decision point for us was the vision, the common vision about where we wanted to go, the ability to supply in terms of what we wanted to get, and also the flexibility to adapt for whatever we thought that it was worth adapting for our operation. We started a project for the first implementation in North America, which is our largest operation across the globe. Approximately 80% of our financial results actually come from North America, so it's heavily concentrated there. And we started with the largest market. Sometimes we start with the smaller ones. This time we went big and we started with the biggest market that we have. It was approximately 1 year of project, and we went live in 2022 across US and Canada. And then one of the key points was that we were making customizations, but we really wanted to make something that was sustainable and that we were able to leverage this to expand across the globe. So we expanded last year in EMEA, across EMEA. And I think one important point here to keep in mind is that we were able to do the EMEA expansion, counting and building from what was built in North America. And from the project start to go live, it took less than 7 months. When we talk about speed of transformation and results, the months that you take during project is fundamental because you actually create the engagement across the organization, and then everybody gets very anxious to actually see the deliverable. So we were very happy that we are able to now accelerate the speed of transformation. What we're doing now is that we're expanding our capabilities, so then we're integrating commercial teams into O9 platform as well in North America, and then we're expanding to machine learning models in EMEA as well. And all of that, thinking what we go beyond from here is having more end-to-end scenario planning and autonomous, like was just mentioned, and taking all the learnings from the current expansions to actually expand this to the rest of the globe, mostly LATAM and Asia markets. We're talking about more than 20 live sales organizations planning demand with O9, more than 50 planners that were trained to start operation with the tool, and more than 10,000 items that we're forecasting with O9. I think a couple of things, you don't only change the company by applying a new system and a new technology, you actually have to make a deeper transformation, which involves process, people, and how you're actually structured to cope with all the transformation. So one capability that we had to develop, which was inexistent previous to the O9 implementation, was the data science hubs, mostly talking about how you keep enhancing your models. and how you create this, what we call a healthy competition between the results that the demand planners are doing via orchestration with cross-functional teams and the results that the data scientists are bringing by enhancing the machine learning models. All of that with a very clear CI mindset and working closely with the business to understand where we're failing and what are the big opportunities that we have to actually improve autonomous. Then the core concept, how we're doing that, and why, even though we are not fully autonomous, how we are actually driving this change is having a clear obsession with forecast value added. What do we mean by that? We are tracking every single step of the people touching the forecast. And if this is not a meaningful result that is driving, we all complain a lot about being overwhelmed with the amount of work, with the amount of changes, and the amount of things that we have to cope in parallel, but many times we shouldn't. And this is the key concept that we are bringing to the demand planners to actually drive change and increase the trust in the system, right? And then having the right tools and the right numbers to better equip teams, so when we go to forums and we go to IBP cycles, they have the right number and the right data to discuss based on facts, not based on opinions. And the last, which I think is the biggest one, you don't make transformations in silos and single teams. You actually have to break the silos and have the collaboration. What is helping quite a lot is that we have data and we're looking at across the board different data from different teams. So when we're talking about machine learning, we are collecting data across the board. So we are using drivers from commercial, from finance, from category management teams, and all of that is coming together for the machine learning models. And we measure the value added as well across the board of how teams are interacting. And when we think about collaboration, it's very good, and this is what is driving mostly the improvements that we're seeing so far. But we have to go beyond as well. What we realize is that there's a lot of data that we were wasting because we have a very strong connection with the retailers and our key customers. We collect a lot of data, but what do we do with that? Most of the times, if this is being used, this was being used offline, and spreadsheets, and again, just having different angles to what is reality. So what are the teams collaborating? Mostly sales, account managers, or customer collaboration teams that have data coming directly from the customers, and they were debating what is the real truth with the demand planning team, instead of actually leveraging all the data that we have available and improving the supply chain across the board. So it's having more and more an end-to-end view towards how we make forecast, and when we say end-to-end, it's truly engaging not only our company, but also suppliers and customers as well. And then if I can finish with a couple of learnings that we had that I think might be useful for whoever is going through the journey, or actually something that we keep using and repeating to ourselves in terms of what we have already achieved, what we actually, where we failed or where we could do better. There are a couple of things that I think were very important along this journey. I think the first one is about change management. Users have to be at the center of everything and any digital transformation many times, and we saw different success rates across our company depending on how change management was actually done. So first thing is, you don't change, like I said, only by adopting a new solution. You have to change the whole organization, and mostly you have to look at your processes and you have to adapt what you're doing, because you shouldn't be just repeating the same process with in an accelerated way. So taking the opportunity to really reassess how we are actually executing the processes, what we had to change and who we had to connect, was fundamental to actually increase adoption. The second one, like I said, US is 80% of our business, which means that we have a very big discrepancy between levels of maturity that we have across our organization, depending on the geographies that we are operating. So understanding what is the real ideal step change that you will actually take, this is fundamental as well, not to overwhelm people by applying solutions that will actually not be useful because they are just simply not ready to adopt it. So it's how we accelerate change by taking a couple of steps back as well in a couple of time. That connects quite deeply with leveraging AI and ML. we are humans, right? And people sometimes are doing the same process for over 20 years, and then we're basically coming to them and saying, we are going to change completely the way you should be operating. And then there's something new here that is wonderful, but people just don't trust, right? We're talking about machine learning many times, and then people think that they know better. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So how to make sure that you have the right tools to actually give empowerment for the planners to have a good understanding of how forecast is being built and what are the data points that they should actually be using to drive change with their cross-functional teams. And needless to say, like everything that we're doing is based out on data. And then here we're talking about a very complex landscape of tools as well, and data points that are coming from multiple streams. So how we have the right governance to look at driver quality, data quality, and then also have the right discussions of what we should be connecting to our systems or not. And last, but not least, is about scalability. Like I said, we have a very different landscape depending on the level of maturity of the markets. So having a good understanding of design for scalability, understanding what are the right modules and how you build the tool, so then you can actually create the journey with the markets instead of just bringing a copy and paste of the solution to whatever we're expanding to. This was fundamental to help accelerate. That's why we were able to do so fast the implementation in EMEA, because we didn't copy the full code of what was already implemented in North America. We took the parts that were meaningful and that were important to actually drive the results for the level of maturity that we had here. And then, of course, understanding this at a much broader scope, we have different ERPs, we have different systems landscape, we have different data points, how you can actually translate this into something that is really global solution. And I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. And I'm open for questions during the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a bit of time for questions.
We have questions?
Yeah.
Okay.